Happy New Year, everybody. It's the Ginger Yeti. It's now 2026. 2025 is over. And it's time for me to showcase my top 10 beers that I reviewed in 2025. 2025 was the second full year of my channel. I got a full year of reviews in. Reviewed a lot of beers. I reviewed 344 beers during the course of the year. Now, it's not all the beers I drank. I did drink a hell of a lot of beers around the country. Did get a lot of good beers in. But this is only the beers that I reviewed on my channel. So of those 344 beers I reviewed, 60 of those beers received a 2 horns up, which is pretty good. I mean, 2 horns up is the best score you can get on my channel. And that comes out to about 17% of the beers I reviewed, which isn't a whole lot realistically. However, with 60 different beers being really good to great beers, it was kind of difficult to whittle this down to a top 10 and choose the top 10. But the top 10 beers are the best beers of the best beers I reviewed. So the reviews of all these beers will be linked down below in the description if you want to check them out. I think I'll make a playlist as well so you can go through the playlist and see all the beers I talk about in this video, just to make it easier for everybody. However, before I get to the top 10, there were a couple beers that I believe deserve an honorable mention. There's 4 beers in particular. They're stellar beers, really good beers overall. I really feel they're worth mentioning. It's just they did not make the cut. It was such a difficult decision picking out the top 10 beers, the beers I thought were the best beers I reviewed of 2025. And these 4 I thought really deserved an honorable mention. So we'll get to those first. And these honorable mentions are in no particular order. I think I actually went through and listed them in order of the date I reviewed them, just because that was the easiest. So for the honorable mentions, the first one is the Affogato Worldwide Stout from Dogfish Head, which is out of Milton, Delaware. And I saw the Average Joe from the Beer Patrol review this. Sounded amazing. Happened to see it on the shelf a few weeks later. I think I picked it up in Tennessee or something. I don't remember. But I picked it up because of his review. And it was an excellent beer. It's a 15% Imperial Stout with coffee and vanilla. Really enjoyed that beer a lot. I gave it a 4.5 on Untappd. That's a really good score. If you're not familiar with Untappd, their rating is however many, 0 out of 5. And I gave it a 4.5. So it's a pretty high rating. Really excellent beer. If you can find it, it's worth buying. The next one on the honorable mentions is a beer that was given to me by my good friend Albert up in Montreal. And I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly because just recently somebody commented on the video trying to explain to me how to pronounce this beer. And I'm still going to butcher it, but I think it's Péché Mortel. It's by Dieu du Ciel. I'm sure I destroyed that, but I appreciate the commenter trying to help me out. I even went to Google Translate and listened to it a bunch of times, but I can barely speak English, so it's hard for me to even say these other beers. But it's the Péché Mortel, the Péché Mortel bourbon from Dieu du Ciel out of Montreal, Canada. It's a 9.5% ABV Imperial Coffee Stout. I also gave that a 4.5 out of Untappd. And like I said, it's a special gift from Albert up in, Albert from Montreal. Really appreciate you, my friend. Hopefully I get to see you this year, this upcoming year. Look forward to seeing you. Hopefully I have a day off somewhere where we can actually hang out and drink beers. Next one on the list, from a brewery that I believe, I don't remember if it made an honorable mention or actually made my list in 2024, but this is the Bo and Luke Chocolate Pecan Pie from Against the Grain out of Louisville, Kentucky. Now, I know it was in my video last year, but I don't remember if it was one of the top 10 or an honorable mention. I think it was a top 10. In fact, I know it was a top 10 now I think about it. But this is a different variant. This is a 13.9% ABV Imperial Stout. And the Bo and Luke Stout is kind of a hard-to-find stout from Against the Grain. It's very sought after. And then they make a bunch of different varieties of it. And this is one of the varieties or versions. It's It's a pecan pie. It was really, really tasty. Kind of surprised I didn't rate it higher, but that was toward the beginning of the year. At least it made the honorable mentions. And the last honorable mention comes from the Rare Beer Club. Excuse me. And it was the Girl Grey 2024 from the brewery out of Placentia, California. It's an 8.5% Belgian golden ale brewed with milk sugar, almonds, and Earl Grey tea. I'm a big fan of Earl Grey tea. Love Earl Grey tea, gelato. Any beer that has Earl Grey tea in it, I am very harsh on because I really expect to have, if you're going to list Earl Grey tea in your ingredients, I really expect to get that Earl Grey tea flavor. I want it to be bold, I want it to be bright. I want to know that, yes, there's Earl Grey tea in here. And that Girl Grey 2024 from the brewery did it. It hit those marks. I gave it a 4.5 on Untappd. And that is probably the highest rating I've ever given an Earl Grey tea or a tea kind of beer. Not that I've had a lot of those kind of beers, but it's definitely the highest rating I've ever given a beer like that. So now that we're through with the honorable mentions, it's time to get into the top 10 beers that I reviewed this year. So of the top 10 beers I reviewed this year, they all scored, I gave them all a score of 4.5 or higher on Untappd, and all of them got 4.75 or higher except for the first one, which made it really, really difficult for me to determine like how to order them. So the top four were already set. I knew the top four. I just had that in my notes as soon as I reviewed them. I knew that they were going to be in the top four from the time I tasted them. But the rest of them, I'm listing them pretty much in order of the date I reviewed them because I just really couldn't order them from 10 to 5 or whatever, just because they're all such amazing, magnificent beers. So the first one is Drowning in Misery by Our Own Design from Burial out of Asheville, North Carolina. It's a 14% Imperial Stout with roasted fig coated in cinnamon powder, pistachio, rose petal, dulce de leche, Madagascar vanilla, and Burial and Still and Griddle coffee. I just recently reviewed it. I mean, this came in at the last second. I reviewed this beer probably a week ago compared to when I'm doing this top 10 video right now. That beer, as soon as I received it, I was excited to get into it, and it was an amazing, amazing beer. That beer is a gift to me from the wonderful people in Whitechapel. They bought it at the brewery and gave it to me in Asheville right at the end of the tour. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Whitechapel. If you don't know who they are and you're into metal, go check out Whitechapel. Their new album, Hymns and Dissonance, is phenomenal. Just like that beer. That beer is amazing. But it's just part of the top 10 and not number one. But it's still amazing. The next one on my list would be the Wild Number 3 from Funkworks out of Fort Worth, Colorado. It's a 7.5% wild ale aged in Hungarian oak foeders. It's absolutely delicious. Really enjoyed that one. And I gave it a 4.75 on Untappd. So that Drowning in Misery is the only 4.5 on this top 10. This is a 4.75. Really good beer. The next beer is a beer I picked up at the brewery. So this next beer on my list is the Incisor Blackberry Raspberry Sour from Burning Beaver out of Chagrin Falls, Ohio. So I went to the brewery. They had just tapped this beer. And I bought a crowler of it to take home. And at the time, they just called it the Blackberry Raspberry Sour. However, when I went back to look up these beers on Untappd to do my list, I noticed they had changed the name. So it was originally the Blackberry Raspberry Sour. And when you look at my review, when you watch my review, I just call it the Blackberry Raspberry Sour. But they've now given it a more of a name. It's called the Incisor Blackberry Raspberry Sour. And this is a 9.7% sour brewed with fresh raspberries and fresh blackberries. It's absolutely delicious. Like I said, I picked it up at the brewery. It's an amazing little spot in Chagrin Falls. awesome family-run brewery. If you're ever in the Chagrin Falls area, I highly recommend you stopping by that brewery. Or if you're ever in the greater Cleveland area or the Akron area, just make a side trek out to that brewery. It's just an awesome brewery. They make stellar beers. I mean, obviously they do because they made it to my top 10 list of 2025. Now it's time to turn the page on my notes if I can do this properly. Because I can't just do this all off the top of my head. I have to have some notes here. The next one on my list is another Ohio brewery. It's the IPL Eins from Woolly Pig Farm out of Fresno, Ohio. That's another brewery that's really worth going and visiting. However, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's south of Akron, Canton, south of the Football Hall of Fame. The biggest cities close to it would be Newcomerstown, Dover, New Philadelphia, and those are not big cities. It's up on the side of I don't know if I want to call it a hill or a mountain because it's part of the Appalachian Plateau. But it's on the side of a very large hill, I guess, since it's part of the Appalachian Plateau. And it's this farm where they raise woolly pigs. So the IPL Eins, I picked it up there. It had just been bottled a week or two before I reviewed it. Picked it up at the brewery. It's a 6% India Pale Lager. I don't see a lot of India Pale Lagers. And it was amazing. It was so good, especially fresh. And it was just such a super cool brewery. I'd love to go hang out there again. Love to go spend a day there. It's just such an amazing brewery. They have a cool outdoor space. I can't speak high enough about that brewery. And that beer also got a 4.75 on Untappd. So, the next beer on my top 10 is another beer from Burial. Burial makes the list for the second time. This is the Might I Reconnect with Occasional Joy for Brief Moments. Like I said, it's from Burial out of Asheville, North Carolina. It was a 6.4% barrel-aged golden sour with raspberry, cherry, peach, and vanilla. Another raspberry beer. This one was a special gift from all the amazing brew tubers that went to the brew tubers get-together down in Greenville over the summer, July of 2025. I was supposed to go, but then my Monomarth tour happened, and it was the same weekend as pre-production, so I wasn't able to go. But all the wonderful people that went there were kind enough to send me a big gift box. That was one of the beers that they sent me, and it was magnificent. It's totally worth the top 10 of 2025. If you can find it, excellent beer. Make sure you pick it up. I mean, Burial, they're doing some outstanding beers in general. So if you can get a Burial beer, especially if it's one of their little glass bottle beers, I think I have one right here. It's one of these glass bottle beers like this. Should definitely pick it up. And I gave that a 4.75 as well. Next beer on my list, man, I'm thirsty, is the Santa Claus Classic from 2023. It's from Schloss Eggenberg out of Austria. I guess they brew this and age it every year. I believe if I remember right, they brew it on December 6th every year. So it's a yearly release. It's a 14% barrel-aged Doppelbock. It was delicious. And that's when I reviewed, I think the review came out recently as well. Like I said, it's from the Rare Beer Club. Excellent, excellent beer, but I know it's pretty easy to find. So if you see it, or relatively easy, I should say. So if you see it, buy that beer. Any variant of the Santa Claus Classic, buy it. Absolutely buy it. I gave that one a 4.75 as well. Now, once again, for the third time, crazy. 3 beers from the same brewery on my top 10 of 2025. The third beer from Burial, which is now getting into probably the top 4 beers of 2025, definitively the top 4 beers of 2025, would be the Ascent of the Blessed. The Ascent of the Blessed 2025. Apparently this is a yearly release from Burial, and this was divine. It's a 4.6% wine barrel-aged golden sour with apricots. I'm not a fan of wine at all. I'm not a wine drinker, and I'm generally not a fan of wine barrel-aged beers. I don't like that wine flavor. I don't know if it's the tannins or the acidity or what it is in wine. Not a fan of wine. So for a wine barrel-aged beer to not only make the top 10 of 2025 for me, but the top 4 of 2025, that's really saying something. That also got a 4.75. That was another gift from Whitechapel. They're such amazing people. Please go check them out. That was an amazing beer. Such a great beer. A lot of fruited sours on this, right? But not all of them. So the number 3 beer, which I knew would be one of the best beers of 2025 as soon as it touched my lips. This was the Patient Zero from Martin House Brewing out of Fort Worth, Texas. I don't think I've ever had any beers from them before or since. I'm still kicking myself for not buying the other beers I saw on the shelf on that day off wherever we were in Texas when I bought this beer. But this beer was phenomenal. It's a 13.6. This is a crazy one. It's a 13.6% whiskey barrel aged fruited sour with strawberry, banana, and lactose. Crazy combination. That got a 4.75 on Untapped. And in my notes, I said one of the best beers of 2025 as soon as I drank it. That was just amazing. I hope I can find Martin House beers again the next time I'm in Texas. If you see Martin House Brewing beers, please buy them. I mean, it's the only one I've ever had from them, a Patient Zero. If you see the Patient Zero, absolutely buy it. It's worth the money. Whatever you have to pay for it, it's worth the money. Now we're into the top 2. And once again, Zool Beer Company makes my list for the second year in a row. As if that's a big deal because I've only done a top 10 2 years in a row. So this is the second full year of my channel. However, it's Zool Beer Company. Zool Beer. How can they not make my top 10, right? They do phenomenal beers. So, the number 2 beer of 2020, right? 2025 for me is a Blood-Soaked Symphony. It was a collaboration beer between Zool Beer Company and Whitechapel, who are both out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Whitechapel's near and dear to my heart. Such amazing people. Go check them out. Zool did this collaboration with them for their Tennessee Takeover Christmas shows last year in 2024. And they also re-released it for the Christmas shows in 2025. You may still be able to get it at their brewery. If you go there quickly when this video's out, they might still have a few cans left. It's a 6% alcohol ABV blood orange strawberry vanilla sour. This is probably the first sour that my good friend Shane at Shane's Craft Beer Review ever gave a super stellar high score. He might have even given it a 5 on Untapped. Don't quote me on that, but he was blown away by that, and he hates sours. I did give this a 5 on Untapped. And even though we're discussing the beers I reviewed over 2025, on Untapped, I think I checked into 700 or 800 unique beers this year, and there was only 3 or 4 that I gave a 5 to. 5 out of 5. And this was one of them. So now, we have finally made it to the best beer of 2025, the best beer I reviewed in 2025. I knew this was going to be the best beer the moment I reviewed it. I put it in my notes. It is the best beer of 2025. Nothing beat it. By far, one of the most amazing beers I have ever drank. This beer is phenomenal. I don't know if you can still get it. If you can, you have to buy it. This is also from a brewery that made my top 10 list in 2024. The beer is called Raise Your Horns. It's from Barbarian Brewing out of Boise, Idaho. If you watch my channel, you know I talk very highly of them. If you watch my channel or are a fan of Amon Amarth, you also know Raise Your Horns is an Amon Amarth song. So it's an homage to Amon Amarth. And this beer, I bought it. I believe it was a dated beer. I want to say Raise Your Horns 2023 or 2024. I don't know why I didn't write that down. But I believe it was like Raise Your Horns 2023, but they still had some at the brewery. They might still have some now because they have a lot of these aged sours at their brewery in big bottles that you can still buy. And they age beautifully and they're worth every penny. This was a 7% spontaneously fermented barrel-aged sour ale with raspberries, grapefruit, and limes. what is this, like the third raspberry beer on my list this year? Kind of wild. And this was just phenomenal. I mean, it's really one of the best beers that I have ever had, by far. It's amazing. I gave it a 5 on Untapped, and that's only because 5 is the highest rating. If I could have rated it higher, I would have rated it higher. That beer is absolutely world class, in a league of its own. Amazing beer. So, have you had any of these beers on my list? If you have, let me know down below in the comments. Did you make it this far in the video? What do you think of my top 10 beers this year? I think I did get a good bit of different styles in there, surprisingly. It wasn't all sours, which I am a huge fan of sours, but there's a kind of a decent variety in there. Did you like my top 10 video? Have you had a good New Year's? Did you make it through New Year's Eve safely? Kept all your fingers, all that great stuff? If you made it this far in the video again, thank you all for watching. All the videos of these reviews will be listed down below in the description. Really appreciate all the support over the last year. My channel has kind of exploded over the last year. Really jumped up. I look forward to 2026. It's going to be a banging year. Can't wait to get over to Europe and do some European beer reviews, do some on-the-road reviews. Again, thank you all for watching. Wish everybody a happy new year, success, health, and riches in the new year. And as always, embrace the adventure.